morning, and thank you for joining us online this morning here at Goochland Baptist Church. When I got up this morning, I was thinking about our two boys and how they always stick together. One of them will crawl into the forbidden closet, and the other one will follow. Or like what happened yesterday, one of the boys will sneak into the bathroom and find their toilet brush, and he'll hold it up and wave it to his brother, and his brother will come and play with it too. Those boys are never apart. And in some ways, Jesus and his disciples were like that. From the time Jesus' disciples dropped their nets and left their families, they followed Jesus wherever he went, through Galilee and beyond. But there's one point in the Gospel of Luke where that changes. It's in Luke 10. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, so of course his disciples decide they'll join him. But on the way, Jesus does something abrupt. He sends his disciples out, 2 by 2, to go ahead of him, without him, to all the towns and villages where he wants to go. Luke says it like this in Luke 10:1. After this, the Lord appointed 72 others and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he was about to go. Now, if you were one of Jesus' 12 disciples who had spent every waking hour with your master, this would have been an abrupt shock. But Jesus believed in his disciples, and he needed their help. In some ways, I think now is that time for us. We're used to gathering together on Sunday mornings to worship and to fellowship and to celebrate with one another. But because of the COVID-19 threat in our region, this morning we're staying home. But here's the truth. Just because we can't gather together here in this church building doesn't mean we can't be church this week. Because just as Jesus sent out the 72 disciples ahead of him to go to all the towns and places where he wanted to go, Jesus sends us out too. And Lord knows there are plenty of places in our community where Jesus wants to be this week. There are young families in our community who rely on the school systems to help provide meals for their children. Families who are now worried about where the next meals will come from. There are hardworking folks in our community who have been told to stay home. Folks who are now worried about where their next paycheck will come from. There are elderly folks in our community who live in nursing homes who will face a foreseeable future with no outside visitors. And there are plenty of healthcare professionals and government workers, first responders who are worried about how COVID-19 could affect our community. I believe that Jesus wants to go into each and every one of their lives to give hope, to remind them that God is faithful and that God is still with them and that God hasn't left us. I believe he wants to help us provide a path forward. But here's the catch. Jesus relies on us to do that. He sends us forward to be a voice of hope, to lend a helping hand, to help prepare the hearts and people whose lives he wants to enter this week. Even if we can't meet together here at church this week, we can still be the church wherever we find ourselves. Even if we're practicing social distancing this week, we can still be the church. Do you have an elderly neighbor? Maybe you could give them a phone call and check on them, make sure they have groceries and everything they need. Or maybe you know somebody in a nursing home. You could give them a phone call to remind them that they haven't been forgotten. Here at Goochland Baptist, we're putting together a COVID-19 response team. If you'd like to help us think through ways that we can look after our own and reach out to our community, let me know. We would love to have you help. One thing we can certainly all do in moments like this is to pray for our community, pray for our leaders, and pray for our health. Our goal during these days of uncertainty is that Goochland Baptist Church can equip you to be the church. And to that end, this week you'll receive emails from us periodically with some scripture and some thoughts about ways that you and your family can be church, even while we're not at church. As inconvenient as all this seems, I'm convinced that this can be a divine opportunity. An opportunity for us to take care of each other, to help our community, and to reaffirm our own faith in Jesus Christ. It's an opportunity for us to be the church. So know that just as Jesus sent out his disciples, Jesus sends us out too this week to be a voice of hope and to lend a helping hand. As you stay home from church this week, my hope is that you'll find ways that you can be church to those in need. Know that you are in our prayers as you do. So may God bless you and keep you this week. And may God use you to bring hope and to bring peace. Amen.